Is Cheong-san still alive? Why the name tag wasn't burned at all? Will there be a second season? If half zombies bite someone, does that someone turn into a half bee also? Or does that someone will turn into a normal zombie? Is Onjo an asymptomatic half bee? Why is he the strongest one? Why did these characters turn into a half bee? Hey you guys, it's Kat and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, it's another episode of Catflix. For those of you who are new here, Catflix is a series here on my channel wherein I review movies, series, or some other K-dramas. Today we are gonna review about the latest and the most trending and the top 1 series now on Netflix. It is entitled All of Us Are Dead. This Korean series aired last January 28 with a total of 12 episodes. We're gonna talk about this series thoroughly and have some theories about it, so spoilers alert. These are just some of my assumptions, theories, and I tried to prove it with some of the evidences and some of the scenes. By the way, I didn't expect my TikTok video to blow up like this. Yes, I'm that girl. First, it is 2 years in the making. Second is it is based on a webtoon entitled Now at Our School, and it is somehow like same with the Euphoria and the Riverdale. First is that on the series, it started when Jinsu, the son of the teacher, was being bullied. But on the webtoon, it started when the students were going in the school. Second is that on the series, Namra is really quiet. She doesn't talk a lot. But on the webtoon, she's so talkative. On the series, they gossip about their science teacher that he took his own son's life. But on the webtoon, the boys gossip about the science teacher that he eats the flesh of people. That is why his son and his wife went missing. On the series, the students volunteered to carry Yoonju on the clinic, but on the webtoon, the teacher called the nurse for her to be carried. As we've seen on the series, one of the symptoms of having the virus is a low temp, but on the webtoon, one of the symptoms is having a fever. Also on the series, the infected doesn't talk a lot like Hyunju on the clinic. She just said some words but not totally the whole story. But on the webtoon, she was able to tell the whole story about what happened to her. And lastly, Isak got beaten a lot sooner on the webtoon, but on the series, Onju was the first one who got the scratch. The one who invented the virus is Mr. Lee Byung-chan. He was a science teacher in the high school. He received a PhD in cell biology in the US. He was a pharmaceutical researcher, but he quit and turned into teaching. Some of the symptoms of this virus is that they are cold, but they are hot inside. They have a low temp, but they feel hot and they feel warm inside. Second is that they smell like a rotting corpse. Before they transform into a zombie, they always have a nosebleed. The zombies are very sensitive to the sounds. That is why when you are afraid, your heart beats faster and they hear you breathe the loudest. And also when it rained, they can't hear clearly and they are also afraid of the thunder. And as we've seen on Namra, their eyes are blurry and red. The mode of transmission of this virus is through bite. It can also be transmitted through blood because we've seen Nayeon put the blood of the zombie on the towel and put it on Youngsu's wound and then he turned into a zombie. That is why open wounds could be dangerous for them. I've also noticed that the zombies become aggressive when someone hits them. Basically, the virus started when the science teacher put the mouse and the cat together. The mouse sat on the corner and will tremble in fear. And the mouse will lose its senses because of the overwhelming fear and attacks the cat. And when it happens, the testosterone level shoots up. And the teacher extracted the testosterone hormone and refined it. Just a trivia, testosterone can be found on both men and women, while only smaller amounts for women. It also affects bone and muscle mass, and even on the red cell production. I think the reason why Namra didn't turn into a zombie is that she doesn't care if she gets bitten. That's the way it is. She's not afraid. The professor only mentioned 3 things that he injected to his son and his wife. First is benzodiazepine, but it can't cure the virus. It only slows down. Benzodiazepine is a depressant which lowers the brain's activity. Second is the haloperidol. It is an antipsychotic medication. And lastly, he also gave them serotonin, but it doesn't have any effect. Serotonin impacts your emotions and your motor skills. It is considered as a natural mood stabilizer. And to sum it up, all of those 3 things is all about the brain, because they said that the virus stops the heart, so they are medically dead. And when it happens, the virus stimulates the brain cells and moves the body. They are like moving corpses. So the main purpose of this virus is that the fear will be turned into rage, so that his son will be stronger than anyone else. He just wanted to change his son, but he created a monster. During the first part, the teacher said the willpower of the parasite to survive is much stronger than Daniel's. It means will is important to the virus. He also said that the only way to survive is the soul standard, by which living organisms are defined. The Jonas virus doesn't have a homologous sequence. That is why it is new. It doesn't have history, no background at all, even the chain of the virus. The only solution is to get rid of the host. When the antivirus enters the body, the virus mutates and stops attacking its target, which is the cell. But the only exception is that cells learn and evolve. If the virus manages to learn the human consciousness, a human species of humankind will be born, and that is the half-bee or the half-zombies. The question is, why can't they detect a half-bee? The virus hides under the RNA of the cells. That is why it can only be detected if manifested. If it's dormant, it won't show up. Tests can detect if someone is infected or not. That is why it is useless for them to quarantine or to test everyone else, because some are asymptomatic, and if you are asymptomatic, your temperature can be normal, as we've seen on Namra when Onjo touched her and she felt that Namra's hands are still warm. And also on the rooftop when the soldier gets all of their temperature and Namra had a low temp, it only justifies what I've said, that it really changes. It depends if it manifests or not. The half-beasts can't and can eat humans, because they're also people and also they are zombies. As we've seen, Hyunji puked when she ate her teacher. Second, when gwi-nam didn't totally eat Nayeon. And third, when we saw Namra ate someone on the street. Half-beasts are still human and also zombies. They are in between. Half-beasts can hear their own kind, just like gwi-nam, especially gwi-nam. And also when Namra heard gwi-nam approaching and when Namra heard Hyunji puking. Half-beasts only show they are zombies when they have rage. Namra, the more she fights, the more she becomes a zombie. Half-beasts are asymptomatic. You can't totally distinguish them from other people. When tested, zombies aren't human at all. But for half-beasts, like Hyunji, when tested, she is still alive as a human. Half-beasts are somewhat like immortal. It can be already seen on the first episode when Jin-soo was thrown out of the rooftop, but he's still alive. Likewise as gwi-nam. Half-beasts can control themselves. Just like Namra, we've seen her control herself multiple times, not eating su-hyeok. Half-beasts can heal themselves. As we've seen on Gwi-nam, he was thrown out of the window of the rooftop how many times? He was able to walk, he was able to run again. And we've also seen Namra at the end. Her eyes were healed. It doesn't have any tinge of red. Her eyes are pretty normal. So the question is, if half zombies bite someone, does that someone turn into a half-bee also? Or does that someone will turn into a normal zombie? I realized when Gwi-nam bite the archer turned into a zombie immediately. Also with Nayeon, we saw how Gwi-nam hit her, but we saw Nayeon as a whole on the field before the bombing. While when Namra was beaten by Gwi-nam, she didn't totally turn into a normal zombie, but she turned into a half-bee. Also with Cheong-san, he just had a nosebleed and didn't turn into a zombie completely. Zombies can still go to you even if you're a half-bee. Just like with Gwi-nam, he called the zombies and then the zombies go after him. So now moving on, I actually got a lot of comments on my TikTok video about this. The question is Onjo an asymptomatic half-bee? So I checked it again, I've rewatched it, and I saw that she didn't beat her. See? And then, when it was the back shot of Hyunju, that's when Onju holds her wrist. Also, Isak, the BFF of Onjo, said to her classmates, she tried to beat us. Only said the word tried. She didn't directly said that Onjo was beaten, but she was only hurt. Plus, the fact that the father of Onjo was the one who put bandage on her. If her father knows that she was beaten, if her father see that she was beaten, the fact that he knows that the virus came from that school, he wouldn't even go back to rescue her because he already knows that his daughter was being beaten. Does it make sense? Nagigets nyo ba? The only one thing that I don't understand is that why did her father said just try not to get it wet? I don't know if it was just a scratch. If she really had a scratch, then the teeth of Hyunju didn't. It means she's safe kasi hindi nag-penetrate yung laway, yung dugo, or whatsoever dun sa balat niya. And you will only be infected naman if that blood nilagay siya sa open wound, dun lang siya magiging infected. E di sana lahat sila naging infected kasi lahat sila natalsikan ng dugo. On the canteen, the zombie girl saw Onjo on the floor, and when she saw Onjo on the floor, she went on the other direction. But that immediately came off to my mind because the other zombie went to Onjo and that zombie really tried to bite her on her neck. So I really think that Onjo isn't a half-bee. So on the science lab, a rat was there in Onjo's foot and there was a blood visible on her socks. So I rechecked the scene again, and when she climbed down the window, specifically on her left foot, the blood on her socks was already there. Doesn't have any difference, right? It just means that the blood on her socks was already there even before they went to the science lab. But let's not forget the fact that they cut the scene when the rat tries to climb up her foot. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities. They cut the scene. Why did Yoonji become a half-bee if there are only normal zombies that beat her? It is because of her rage. She wants everyone on her school to die. Plus, she has a will, and you know, the will is very important to the virus. She has a will to get Gwi-nam's phone and destroy it. Is the father of Onjo a half-bee? I don't think so. Why? Because when the water ran off, we saw a zombie attack him. We saw that the zombie bite the elbow of Onjo's dad, and it was protected that time. Some people suspect because he was walking like a zombie, but maybe he's just tired, right? Is Miss Park a half-bee? Miss Park might be bitten by a zombie when she was going upstairs and the zombie was chasing her. I mean, look at the difference of her on the stairs and when she went up. Before she went up, she doesn't have any blood on her shoulders and or her mouth and on her hands. But after that, she stared on the blood on her hands. Let's fast forward to the part when they showed that she was already bitten. She had a nosebleed, but her eyes didn't turn into a red one. And we didn't actually saw her transform into a zombie. And this is the part when I'm half convinced that Miss Park is already a half-B when they didn't show her on the last shot before the bombing came. I mean, they took a close-up shot to the people who became zombies, who were already technically dead, but she wasn't there. Is Mr. Cheong-san, the science teacher, a half-B? Maybe he is. I've noticed that after he was bitten, I find it strange for him to walk straightly even after being bitten. Just walk straightly as a normal person. I mean, it's just weird. And half-Bs can only control themselves. Just like gwi-nam, just like Namra, they walk like a normal person. And with Mr. Byung-chan, he walks like a normal one. Compare him to the zombies walking at his back. Plus, I noticed his eyes. One of his eyes turned into a red one totally, but his other eye, we can also still see some white part of his eye. I find it really strange. Why is gwi-nam a half-B and why is he the strongest one? On the first episode, when gwi-nam threw the son of the professor out of the rooftop, he said that he's not scared at all. It was already established only after a few minutes of the series that he's not scared of anything. And because of his last words before he turned into a half-B, he said, "I will kill you," to Cheong-san multiple times. He has a rage. He has a will to kill Cheong-san. Is Cheong-san still alive? I know I already made a TikTok video about it, but I added some that I wasn't able to notice at the first time watching it. So first is that Cheong-san's last words is all about him having no fear to anyone, having no fear of anything. He said, "I have nothing to fear, I'm not scared of you either." And just like what I've said earlier, the virus is somehow connected to fear. He actually had a nosebleed, but he really didn't totally change into a zombie. Second is that when Cheong-san was being chased by the zombies, he jumped off here. Of course, the zombies will be piled up down there. It means when he fell down with gwi-nam, he was safe because there were a pile of zombies down there. There were bodies where he landed too. During the bombing, it seems like he used gwi-nam as a shield to cover him. It makes sense, right? And guys, have you noticed that the only part that was burned was gwi-nam's body? And Cheong-san's body was still whole until the very end of this part. It's his face, it's still his body. And when the survivors came back to the school when they saw a bonfire after 4 months of being quarantined, look at su-hyeok's face here. It's just a normal face, right? But when they all saw the half-beast, look at su-hyeok's face here. It's just smiled. And maybe, just maybe, Cheong-san is still alive. And also, after being beaten by gwi-nam, Cheong-san said to Onjo, "No one's dying. Not here. Not today." Is he giving us some hint or what? People are saying why the name tag wasn't burned at all. And I've researched about the cloth, about how things were being burned. They say that all fabrics will burn. And as we all know, when we have our name tags on our uniforms, we don't iron it because it will get easily burned, right? And I think it's a good point wherein name tags are easily burned. I researched some type of the clothes that they used on their name tag. I'm not 100% sure if what type of cloth or embroidery fabric they used, but I think it's linen. And those type of fabric doesn't easily get burned. What are the odds, right? Maybe Cheong-san intended to put that name tag on the top of the pile of ashes, pile of bodies, and maybe that was his sign that he was still alive. And after the bombing, guys, you guys must pay attention to this. There are still a pile of bodies, as you can see here. There were ashes all over, but some of the bodies are still there. There is also a hand beside Onjo's name tag. And some people say that if Cheong-san is still alive, Namra will sense him and Namra will know that he's still there. But I realized that after the bombing, the group rested for a while on the mountain. In that way, if Cheong-san is still alive, he will be able to escape just in time. And it also took a while for Onjo, Su-hyeok, and Namra to go to the construction site again. Maybe there are two possible reasons why Namra wasn't able to smell or sense Cheong-san there. First is that maybe because, just like what I've said, maybe he ran away immediately because he knows that he's already infected and the only way to protect their group is for him to go away and to leave them. Second is that maybe because Namra couldn't smell him because of the ashes, or it much makes more sense. The senses of Namra after the explosion was messed up. And when Namra said there are others like her, I mean, if I'm the director, I will also do the same. I will not show Cheong-san there if that will be the plot twist of the season 2. If only if. And guys, these are just some of my assumptions. The teacher who Yoonji beat Miss Park and Cheong-san. Because before the bombing, they only showed Cheong-san's mom, Young-soo, Nayeon, Eunji's BFF, Eunji's dad, Chun-young, and the archer. What if it is not the last video that the professor made? What if there's more? For me, there isn't. Because Mr. Byung-chan tried his best to make an antidote, to make antivirus, but he failed, and it is clearly shown and slowly shown on how he was hopeless. Cheong-san is still alive. It didn't show his dead body. I agree. I mean, Cheong-san is the main character, right? I mean, his dead body should be shown, right? In the webtoon, Cheong-san is already dead. Even before they went to the rooftop, he was separated from Eunjo because they have different groups. He died of saving Eunjo. I mean, if susundan talaga nila yung plot ng webtoon, then Cheong-san might be really dead. Why Namra didn't give the lighter immediately to them? I think it is the fact that she smokes and she didn't want to tell them at first, but when she saw that they are really struggling, that's the time when she gave the lighter to them. I really love this series because it's not easy to make a zombie series like this, how to catch the attention of other people, and you know, the thrill and excitement and the eagerness for you to get the answers of all the questions that you have in your mind. Will there be a second season? I think so, because the ending part was a cliffhanger. Maybe the main problem of the season 2 is that there already have zombies. What will the government do if they found out that they are still there, right? Will there be a chaos? Will they treat them? Will they find a cure for them? Will they kill them? We really don't know. Again, these are just my assumptions, guys. So don't attack me. These are just my realizations. These are just my theories about it. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video that I made. Don't forget to comment down below if you have any other movie, series, or K-drama suggestions that you want me to review. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell button for you to get notified whenever I post another video. See you on my next one. Ciao!